If you disobey me and remain hostile to me, I will act against you in wrathful hostility. I, for my part, will discipline you sevenfold for your sins. You shall eat the flesh of your sons and the flesh of your daughters. This is the Cult Faction Podcast, episode 77, Spotlight on Mad God.
It's a mad God.
Hello and welcome to... Oh, hold on. There's a bit at the end that always gets me. And there it is. Hello and welcome to the Cult Faction Podcast, episode Lucky 77. Tonight we're having our spotlight on Phil Tippett's Mad God. So yes, while we do our normal roundup of what we've been watching on the streaming services and all the old-fashioned box, we also are carrying on our Halloween spotlight season.
So that's windy.
This week, with my choice, Mad God. So, first of all, let's do the usual banter stuff that Damien doesn't like and talk about films and TV shows that Damien doesn't like.
I don't like the TV shows or the films.
That's right.
I think this bit is superfluous to the
requirements
that's what I mean,
of the
podcast.
bit.
Yeah, it's just the bit where we introduce each other.
It warms up our
Don't
vocal
worry,
cords.
there'll be a Vera Christmas special soon.
Oh, hold on. He's messing around with the box. And that's hardware, not anything else.
Sorry, you can carry on. Don't mind me.
Well, you say that, you know. So, anyway.
We did a sound check and everyone was talking quietly. As soon as we hit the record button, you go up about 5 decibels.
Oh, we're in the zone now. Okay, so Brett, you've been on half term this week from school.
Yep.
Anything exciting?
Not really. I've more had the chance to catch up on a few things that I haven't had a chance to see recently, as events have been quite busy and school's been quite manic. So it's been quite nice to just kick back, relax, and enjoy some film and television.
Yeah, see, he says we can carry on talking, but he's messing around with the box, and I couldn't hear you properly then.
Well, I was trying to talk.
If I can hear him, you can hear him.
I was trying to talk, but
I've got a different feed, remember, and you've messed around with my headphones.
Can you hear him now?
I don't know because he's not talking.
That's a good point.
I was trying to talk, but he was fiddling with my knob.
No, I can't.
Stop fiddling with my knob.
Just
Fiddle on the what?
Tickle Town.
how's that?
Yeah, I can hear him.
Cool.
Can I hear anyone now?
I don't know.
It's gone quieter in my ears.
Good.
Can you hear me?
No.
Can you hear me now? Oh, it's like the start of lockdown on Zoom calls and stuff.
You're on mute. You twat.
Beryl, you're on mute.
I can hear you now.
Can you hear us?
Yes, you're back.
Brilliant.
Cool.
So yeah, I've been watching all sorts of TV and film, just catching
I'm not
up
cutting
really.
any of that out. I can't be bothered.
And just chilling really, and
You've
enjoying that. What about yourself?
Work, and we managed to get out of the house on Sunday and go bowling.
Did you win?
Yeah, I did actually. Just
You wouldn't let your own children win at bowling.
no, of course not.
They have to learn. They
Doesn't
need
teach you
to
anything.
learn.
You know, it's still great to me that the eldest still has the bumpers up. She's 15. Didn't have bumpers in my day.
I just
Damien.
don't think it's fair you let your child in a wheelchair not use the machine thing that rolls the ball out.
From a social perspective, anything interesting?
No, wife's had food poisoning.
Yeah, she said you gave it to her.
Yeah, with a chicken Kiev incident.
Ooh,
It's in a bit of a rush.
that sounds like a
dinner
film.
out, and
sounds foul.
Boom, boom.
Shake the room.
Didn't quite read the instructions properly. Can't be cooked from
Oh,
frozen.
so you really did give her food poisoning?
Yeah.
It's a chicken Kiev.
Wow.
They weren't supposed to be cooked from frozen. I cooked them from frozen for 40 minutes, and it didn't obviously cook them.
Didn't affect your stomach.
No,
though.
I'm fine. So,
cast iron gut.
So I've been. That means I've had the puppy and the kids to deal with for the last 5 days. But in the same token, she's not having dinner. So I've had vindaloo. I've had Thai curry twice in a row.
Did you literally say vindaloo and fart then?
No, that
did
was the
sound like
freezer
it.
going,
Oh,
the
okay.
fridge
Yeah.
clicking. So yeah, swings and roundabouts.
Yeah. Poor Sarah. Anyway, okay, so that's enough chit chat. Let's come
Thank God for
down to why we're here. So Summer's watching wise. What's been going down in Grievetown?
Well, I have managed to finish off, because I've got a little bit behind on it in recent
you.
weeks, the what's it called? She-Hulk, female lawyer, whatever it's called. Ally McBeal. She-Hulk Attorney at Law. That was
that's
the
right.
official title. And I thought it was all right. It was a bit jokey. It was a bit silly. Okay, some of the CGI was a bit, but it's a TV show. It's not a movie. So let's get over ourselves. But, I mean, the whole point of it to me was, it was like all the crap going on while all the important stuff's going on. It was
Yeah.
kind of a joke in itself. You got all the bits that filled in the gaps of what happens everywhere else. And
Do we know what the viewings have been like and whether there's a chance of it getting another series or?
Oh, there's some big things at the end that will, whether or not it'll be. It's like a lot of these people go, it might not get another series, and it might not, but the character will probably appear somewhere else. That it's an introduction, same as Moon Knight, same as Miss Marvel. It's just setting these. I'm sure I've missed one. What was the Halloween one they just did? With
Mike
the
Myers.
monsters. No, Werewolf by Night, wasn't it, or whatever it was?
Like,
Yeah.
don't
The
look
Marvel
at me
horror.
like I'm gonna know.
Yeah, he was.
This is my.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
actually I don't mind this bit. It's my opportunity to just glaze over. I'm not even listening.
But
Really.
again, a lot of these are just set up to introduce characters and formats that they can then drop them in somewhere else. I mean, Daredevil turns up in She-Hulk.
Yep.
That's pretty cool. But yeah, it was all right. The last episode was very meta and confused a lot of people. But
That's not a reference to anything to do with Facebook or Facebook
No,
apps. People, that
the
was a
old-
term before.
yeah, in the before times.
Yeah.
That's how we did it in the 90s, son.
I must admit, with She-Hulk, I think I watched the first couple of episodes and haven't gone back. Not because I thought it was bad. It's just on the scale of everything else watchable at the moment.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And it's
just
one of
down the
those.
scale.
It seems to be more popular with the female identifying audience, which I can understand. It's got a
And
bit
that's,
of girl,
that's a good thing, yeah.
It's got a girl power in it. And
We're all
like,
for that.
I was explaining to someone the other day who was moaning about. I said, "Well, did you buy every Marvel comic that came out every month?" And they were like, "No." I said, "Why?" So I don't like all the characters. I said, well,
Yeah.
it's going to be like that with the TV show, isn't it? Or the films. There are going to be ones you like and ones you don't like. Keep track. Eventually, some of them will cross over, and you have to buy it because it's you need that issue. But there's something there for everyone. Watch the ones you like, and let the other people enjoy the ones they like.
Just like life.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, Damien,
Yes.
what about
I'm back-
you?
I'm back in the room. I finished Bad Sisters on Apple.
Oh, okay.
That looked quite good.
It is good.
I've watched it through Gogglebox.
Yeah. Funny enough, I saw a clip of it on Gogglebox the other day, and I don't even normally watch that, so I was quite annoyed that I was watching Gogglebox for the first time in ages, and they were watching something I've already seen, which was annoying. Anyway, actually, it is a good series. I was a bit dubious the last time we spoke because it opens with the guy's funeral, and that means he's already been killed.
Yeah.
And then each episode kind of is the one sister getting another big sister on board with the plot, and so on and so on. And each episode is an attempt to kill him, but they're not going to succeed because there's 8 more episodes to go, or 7, 6 as it goes along.
Yeah.
There's a night, and there is a twist which Sarah and I figured out maybe 3 or 4 episodes in, but it's funny.
Cool.
And it's that kind of Irish stroke British humour that we talked about before. Funny, not gag after gag after gag funny. It's funny. Finished that.
A bit of solemn dark humour chucked in type thing.
Yeah. Oh, yes. It's got a lot of dark humour in it. Obviously, they're trying to kill their
Yeah.
brother-in-law. That's probably it. Something else might come to me whilst you're talking.
Oh, okay. Well, carrying on with Apple then. So I finished off the second or third series of C.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't think you were going to go back to that. I genuinely thought you'd given up,
Yeah, Sunday night viewing, isn't it?
I suppose.
That's what we did. Sunday night viewing, and then we'd put a film on. So it was okay. Jason Momoa went out in a blaze of glory.
So is there going to be a fourth? Or
Well, they kind of set it up to be a fourth without Jason Momoa. Obviously, he's
Is
a
that
big...
a spoiler?
Well, no, it's not, because it's been out for a few weeks now.
Fair enough.
So,
I just wonder. I mean,
well, and you could kind of see it coming anyway. I don't mean it funny way, but it was quite obvious that he was going to go out, as I said, in a blaze of glory to save everyone. But yeah, they've kind of set it up that it could come back. With a new continuation of the plot, but I think it was on its way out. It needed a big crescendo, and now let it go. Let it go. Yeah.
I think that's a different show.
So, also, I'm not going to speak about them too much, but a couple of films. So, Bullet Train, Brad Pitt. Give that a watch. It's highly entertaining.
like I say, it looks like entertaining silliness.
It is. It is. They're trying to be a bit not Tarantino-esque, but that kind of funny action. Sword fights, all that kind of good stuff, and yeah, it's slapstick humor as well, with people being killed in between.
Cool.
But worth a watch.
Rating?
I'd give that 7. Which is high for that type of genre.
Fair enough.
It's not going to change your life, but it will make a couple of hours really highly entertaining. Summers, back to you.
Clerks 3. Kevin Smith's latest. I finally got to see it, as it's now available in the UK via one of them ones you have to pay for.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was a bit dubious going in, because the more later output of Kevin Smith's Viewer's Universe has kind of been, I would say, a bit haphazard and thrown together. Like the Jay and Silent Bob reboot was was more a TV special than a film, really. You could tell it was done on the cheap at a Comic-Con, and kind of, I guess he wanted to carry on those characters, and it was a little bit So when it came around to Clerks 3, I was a bit dubious, so I put it on, and it's, I don't want to spoil it because it's still quite fresh, but it's definitely not the film I thought it was going to be, in a good way.
Okay.
Because it's basically, if you go back to Clerks, which is 30 odd years old now, 95, what year was Clerks?
I think it was earlier than that, wasn't it?
Yeah, so let's say it's over 30 years old now.
Yep.
So let's say they were 20 at the time. Yeah, because in the film they're coming up to about 50. And it's very much two guys reflecting on their life at 50, while still basically in the same position they were when they were 20, and about like what they've done and what's happened and the different events that have occurred to them over that time. Some you see in the films, some have been sort of shown or highlighted in between, and the pluses and minuses of that as they sort of take stock of things. And there is a bit where Randall, Jeff Anderson, decides he's going to make a film about his life, which basically you then basically get the making of Clerks, but him doing it. And whilst it's fun in some places, it does that pads out the script a lot more. But the actual scenes around it, because you get them reenacting scenes from Clerks of them filming it, and it's just a bit too. The first couple of times it's quite funny, but then when you realise this is like going to be like the next 15, 20 minutes, you're like, you're padding this out, and it is a bit. But it's good to see they got a lot of the original cast back, and a lot of the different references and things. Fans of the Viewer's Universe will like it. But again, I would say that this is a film where we're meeting these guys that we all related to and loved when they were sort of around 20, and now they're nearly 50. and as I say, reflecting about their lives, that plays a big part in the crescendo and ending of this film. And I don't think everyone's going to like how it ends up. But also, like life, we don't always like how it ends up. I can say that without giving. I don't want to give anything away, but yeah, it's not everything. Not everyone always gets a happy ending. Not everyone gets a Disney finish. You know what I mean? And it's kind of.
No,
I think I want a Disney finish.
I've never heard a happy ending called that before.
No.
I'll have to ask for it next time I have a massage. I'll have a Disney finish, please.
Yeah. So it has split the fan base, but then I think some of the fan base are still in 1992 anyway. So you know they need to move along with it.
Yeah.
So I think if you've grown up along with it and you're looking back, I think you'll get it. If you're still like,
If you're an incel.
yeah, they should still be there smoking weed and saying dude and stuff. Then I don't know. Yeah, maybe it's passed you by and you just aren't mature enough to understand the deep concepts he's trying to reach.
Cool.
Snoogans. Yeah, but I would say it's worth a watch.
You say everything's worth a watch.
Out of 10.
Ooh, I would have given it higher if he didn't pad it out with just remaking Clerks as part of the plot, because that was a real 7 at a push for nostalgia.
Wow.
6.5 to a 7.
Okay, I'm going to quickly mention The Beast with Idris Elba. This is where he's in Africa.
Cujo in the jungle,
Yeah.
except with a lion.
They're on a tour of
Deja vu. We took.
not on air. We haven't talked about this.
Sorry.
Yeah.
my life show's on there now.
So
It's one
he
big
goes
blur.
he goes on safari. Lo and behold, something bad happens, and they basically get attacked by a lion after and the lion's killed some villagers. And it's all about, as Damien mentioned, it's almost Cujo of the jungle, without a jungle, obviously, because it's on safari.
I know. I did want to say safari was the word I was thinking of.
Yeah,
But jungle came out. I don't know why.
it's fine.
So I apologise for that.
Yeah. So
No,
just-
Windsor.
Windsor Safari Park.
don't
There's a film.
do not pay to watch this film. That's all I say.
Is that your tagline?
Well, it's just not worth it, unfortunately. Idris Elba, for some reason, they've given him an American accent for no reason whatsoever, and he can't really do it that well in this film, anyway. But it's just full of stupid set sequences where,
The stupid decisions, no doubt. I
well,
mean,
yeah, they're in a safe, well, relatively safe 4x4. But all the time they're running out of the 4x4 to go and rescue someone, or go to find something, and some of his kids are carrying on doing this and think there's a big old freaking lion hunting you down. Stay in there. You're told to stay in there, but no, she's off trying to help out one of the guides and all this kind of stuff. Idris Elba basically takes on a lion with no weapons and manages to survive.
Like Hercules.
Yeah, pretty much. Just don't pay to watch it. If it's free and if you're an Idris Elba fan, don't watch it. unless there genuinely is nothing else on. So that was my quick one. I'll give that 4.5 out of 10, and that's just being generous. Most of that, for the scenery. There we go. And a quick mention to Lord of the Rings. So Rings of Power has obviously finished now. I think you're right. I think this is a Marmite for a lot of people. Or actually, no, it's not Marmite for me. I liked it. I didn't love it.
I haven't gone back yet.
I didn't
if I'm
hate
honest.
it, but I was quite happy to watch it. And at the end of it, I thought, oh, I haven't got another one to watch next week. I'm not dying to see the next series, but when it comes around, I will watch it. And again, I've mentioned before, it looks like they ploughed a lot of money into it because they ploughed a lot of money into it. Yes.
Yeah.
So special effects are great. Storyline picks up. They to be fair to them, that they managed to keep the secret of who that stranger was and who Sauron is really well. And for a big series like this, they did that well.
I can't believe it was the dwarf.
I can't believe it was David Tennant.
I was getting to that.
Oh,
Yeah, so it was all right. Go on then, Summers.
Cool.
You carry on talking about.
I was going to ask for Damien because his favourite TV combination of all time were back on TV this week, reunited after all these years in the new episode.
Cannon
of
and
Doctor
Ball.
Who. Sylvester
That
McCoy.
would be a great comeback.
McCoy and Ace. No, I haven't watched it yet.
Oh,
I've got a wife with food poisoning and 2 kids and a puppy.
I thought that was more of a reason to watch it.
I actually did turn on for the last 30 seconds of that just out of.
I've seen the regen thing. That was.
I clocked it halfway through.
Did you?
Yeah, only because that.
Well, it was no secret that he was going.
Yeah,
he was doing something, was it?
Yeah, well, he'd been seen filming for it,
Yeah.
and then he wasn't in it. And when they got to the end, they thought, they're going to throw a curve here,
Right.
and then they did.
But hold on, what? So we are talking about Doctor Who to the listeners because
Yes.
I don't think we actually mentioned
Well,
that.
I think it's fair
Yeah.
to say.
But they've already got a new Doctor Who, yeah.
Well, that was the curveball, yeah.
But they've got a new Doctor Who coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously
But when
Tennant's
she
only in it.
Yeah, but when she
Yeah, I know.
changed, she
David
changed to
Tennant.
Yeah.
But he's obviously only in it for like.
I would imagine to Christmas, New Year.
Yeah, exactly.
But
and what you guys
nice
were saying
twist,
anyway,
though.
they've been padding months out in between these last few episodes to try and get us up to Christmas, haven't they?
Well, they give them. I don't even know if we've got a Christmas one or if it is New Year's Day because they were trying to make New Year's Day like the new Doctor Who Day, weren't they? So we
I don't know.
might.
I've not looked. I haven't really been paying much
So
attention.
if we have got 3 episodes and they're not like over Christmas, New Year, then we might even be Easter before the new guy kicks in.
Oh wow, okay, they really are dragging it out.
Well, they only give them like that one series now, and then you get a couple of specials through the year.
Yeah.
But now that Russell T Davies is back, maybe they might give him a few more again. I don't know because he was.
See, I didn't actually mind David Tennant. I quite liked him as the Doctor.
I thought it was.
I think they've all
Really
been
good.
doctors. The worst bit has been just some of the writing for like Jodie
Yeah,
Whittaker. I thought
but
was
that
good,
makes
but
the
script-
Doctor, doesn't it?
Yeah, but
you
the
know, with all
script-
those kids growing up, David
yeah.
Tennant's going to stand out.
Oh yeah,
Jodie,
but
I'm not quite
everyone's
sure
got their
about.
thing, and it's like same with different soaps and programs, isn't it? People remember that bit that they
Yeah.
had their class of Grange Hill or
Yeah.
whatever, their Doctor. But now it's good. And loads of the old cast, old Doctors, old companions, and stuff like that, and loads of references. Yeah, it was all right. It had a few plot holes here or there, but. It does currently because it's not written that well. But what they have done was pretty good. And
Anything else?
yes, I would say if you've not seen it before, you're a bit of a lapsed fan, that might pull you back in again a bit just for the nostalgia of all the other characters. I think it was part of the 100 years of the BBC and all that.
Okay.
So, like trying to.
Which again is another excuse to try out Daleks and Cybermen, and they just annoy me. So, which is why I didn't bother going out of my way to watch
The Daleks
Sunday's
do fly
episode.
now, though.
Yeah, but it's just
Yeah, well, they can finally get upstairs.
yeah, but they've been able to fly for a while. It's just annoying. They just come up with something different.
But you do get to see Ace and Doctor, and she gets a baseball bat.
Yeah, I know. I've seen the still images.
It's there for you to enjoy.
Okay, you've been watching anything else?
The only other thing, just to check and quit, I have seen episode 1 of season 2 of Chucky.
Oh, okay.
And
You liked the first
Yeah,
season?
season 1 was really good. I mean, it was a little bit 90210-ish in places because it kind of, you've got to have a moody teen drama in bits now just to,
Yep.
do that. And but I think now in the season 1, it was whether or not the spoilers. Sorry,
I've lost the spoiler bell.
the spoiler bell's gone. Ding ding.
Back in the
No.
broom cupboard, he's found his prop.
No, but in season 1, it was like the boy who's trying to kill is gay and he likes the other boy, and will he come out and all that. So you had that kind of soap drama and the thing. But of course, now that we know all that, they can just get on with.
I've
like,
completely forgot what
proper
we were talking
killings.
about. The whole bit.
Chucky.
All right, yeah. The spoiler bell thing threw me.
No, but it's just like in the first one, it was kind of, is he gay? Are they playing that? Or is he not? Do they get on? Do they friends? And of course, now we know they are. They can just get on with like some chuckiness.
Yeah.
And there's some nice bits, nice little kind of phone call thing, which everyone said was Scream or Scary Movie, but it was actually The Strangers when they phone up and say, "Is so and so home?"
Yeah.
And then they hang up. And it was, they did a scary movie with screams, and then not doing The Strangers. But again, they put those things in. He's got some nice references. And there's a nice bit as well where he has a go at them about foiling his big plan at the end of season 1 because he would have got away with it. It weren't for the fucking kids. And it's a bit tongue in cheek, but it still works.
It's supposed to be.
And it's so far so good. But it's only episode 1.
Cool.
I think it's about 4 or 5 at the moment.
Okay.
And that's about it for me, I believe.
Well, it's not, because you were talking about something, but we'll come back to you, and then I'll remind you of that. So, Amazon Prime, there's a new series called Peripheral.
Oh, I do want to see that.
So this...
That's Hit Girl, isn't it?
Yeah, Chloe Grace Moretz stars as it. So set in the future where loads of people are doing virtual reality gaming, all that kind of good stuff. Chloe Grace Moretz is really good at it, better than her brother, but her brother's a bloke, so he gets paid to do missions online and all this kind of good stuff.
That's rather sexist.
Well, I know, but he's got the followers or whatever, so he gets the big bucks, but he gets her to do her missions, basically. Turns out, and I'm not giving too much away, because it's still, early doors. But
I'm doing it anyway because I know what you're like. You say you're not giving too much away, and before you know it,
well, no, I wasn't going to give too much.
we've seen
away.
the whole film in our head or the whole TV series in our head.
Anyway, turns out a new contract or whatever comes in to test out this new firmware, so Peripheral, and Chloe Grace Moretz does it because she's the best gamer for her brother. And it just so happens that the new firmware maybe takes her to a certain place in the virtual world where she meets certain characters, and we get to find out whether they're good, bad. Maybe who are they? Are they extraterrestrials? Are they, what's their interest in all of this?
Interdimensional beings.
Yeah. Or are they? But, because I'm not giving anything away, so there might be something else. There might be another plot twist. Anyway, it's really worth a watch, I thought. And again, Chloe Grace Moretz has been in about 4,000 films over the last 10 years. But over the last couple of years, most of the stuff she's gone has either been, Tom and Jerry on Disney, or the other way where it's stuff that's straight on streaming services like this. But this is a better class of some of her most recent work, actually. So yeah, definitely give it a watch. I'm liking it. I watched the first 2 episodes back to back because that's all there was. And I stopped watching it at 3 a.m. If there would have been another episode, I'd have carried on. So to me, that means it's good.
Yeah, that sounds
in
good.
my eyes.
And it does intrigue me, actually, because she was on, I think, the One show a little while ago, and they showed a clip of it. And I'd actually forgotten about it until you said it then. So,
yeah,
yes.
Cool. The only other thing is I want to mention are audio books, because, hey, we're not just about watching. So Ernest Cline have done Ready Player One, done Ready Player Two. I've now moved on to Armada. So this was the one that I was a bit hesitant about, because the premise of this is you've got a kid that's good at playing video games.
There's a theme this week.
Exactly.
Is it read by Will Wheaton?
It is read by Will Wheaton, who I really love listening to.
Can you cut the second bit out? Who I really love.
So again, he plays video games to save the galaxy from aliens. Sounds familiar, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh,
it sounds
yeah.
like Johnny and the Bomb from Terry Pratchett.
Well, and also
and the Last Starfighter.
Last Starfighter. Now, the one nice thing about this is very early on, I mean, Ernest Cline is obviously into films, videos, TVs, games, and, it's a real chowderhead type thing. He quite early on says that, his dad was had a big conspiracy theorist, and, he's setting it up like, is whoever planning the human race and conditioning them to fight back with aliens, i.e. like in Last Starfighter and all this kind of good stuff. So the very fact that he does that, he knows it's similar, but they do it in a different kind of style and fashion. So yeah, I'm liking that. I've got about 5 hours left to go on that one. And then I have to find out whether Ernest Cline's done any other audiobooks with Will Wheaton.
Or Will Wheaton.
Yes. Well, I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, still enjoying that, and even got a new pair of Bluetooth headphones so I can go to sleep in a bit more
The
comfort.
soothing voice of Will Wheaton.
But the worst thing about it, though, because every time I mentioned audiobooks in the past, I fall asleep after about an hour, which is good because it helps me go to sleep. With these, I can listen to them for 2 to 3 hours. So, yeah, swings and roundabouts.
I'm looking forward to it at the moment because the Terror Tome by Garth Marenghi comes out soon. So from Dark Place, which is, he's not a real writer, but he is, but he's not. But yeah, so that should be quite good as well. I'm looking forward to that.
Okay, and any final thing that you want to mention, Brett?
You said I watched something that I didn't watch.
Well, we're talking about jumping backwards and forwards in time.
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
Yes, you're right. I have, during my recent trip to America, where I came back very quickly, I watched the first 4 episodes of the new series of Quantum Leap.
All right. Yep.
It's all right.
Is it all like explosions and?
No, it's very much more. You're on this side of the camera rather than the Sam side of the camera a lot more.
Apparently, we get to find out what happened to Scott Bakula's body when he was jumping through time.
Yeah, you see bits and you see they answer, like the person who's in the waiting room when they go back don't remember anything, but they can remember Sam's face. It goes through all the little, whoever's, the people that have written it have gone through it with a fine-tooth comb, and there's probably stuff I've missed that you'll pick up on because you were much more diehard than I was. But a lot of the complaints about it seem to be, it's more, there's a mission he has to solve like normal, that's the same, but you're more on why this guy's done this jump because he doesn't remember at the moment. So there's a reason he's done this and jumped back in. There's someone involved that's well, you find out anyway, Al's daughter. It's not really a spoiler. She's got something to do with it, and she's like a scientific genius. So it's more, why is he doing it? And then he leaps beyond his lifetime.
Ooh.
And they've worked out that it's to do with the further he goes out, the more it's going to pull him back so he can go further the other way or something. Like a kind of orbit around. So that's what they're trying. They're trying to work out what he's did. So it's more about that than it is trying to sort of.
So hold on.
I think we said, didn't we say that in this day and age, it's going to be it will need to be more than story of the week.
A lot of people just want him to go and say so. And loads of people were complaining the other day because he was dressed out as a woman. And they're like, we don't need it on TV now. And they were trying to say, like, yeah, but they see him as... It's almost like they'd forgot that concept. And that happened loads of times.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of time... I mean, Sam was pregnant. He was a female reporter.
Like,
he was
they
all
were like,
sorts.
oh, well, it's just awful because that's just degrading and all. I don't know if it's a bit more of a sensitive thing nowadays or what, but it was like, that's what he did all the time.
Yeah.
Or he was a person of colour, or he was this, or he was that, indigenous or whatever. And it was... Yeah, people are moaning about that, but they keep putting things around that it's close to being cancelled. But the actual people have actually ordered like another 6 episodes, which they wouldn't do if it was going to be cancelled, unless they're just going to give them that to wrap it up. But again, to me,
they could have done that with Dark Matter, couldn't they?
Exactly. But to me, I would say I'm liking it for what it is. The only thing I would say, my critique of it, is it's very much... There's no padding. And I mean that in a negative way. Like, because every scene something important happens. There's no bit where you get to
the pace just slows down.
Just to get the pace to work it out and go, right. It's like, right, we're going to do that. Now we need to do that. And now we need to do that. Now we do that. And that's the end this week. And you're just like, what?
It's there to keep up the attention.
Kind of, yeah, it's almost, it's that ADD thing now, but I think that's TV in general. But you basically got Winston Zedmore, Ernie Hudson. He's sort of leading it. You've got the guy.
Has there been anything in there so far about the fact that he was in the original?
Talked about that. And they've just revealed that to one of the other characters who didn't know, because certain people knew and certain people didn't, because if they're going to work as a team, they've all got to share. So you've had
share.
You've had like the gelling of the team as well, because you've got Ernie Hudson, you've got the person who was Lucifer in the Sandman.
All right, yeah.
that how they identify themselves. I may have got that wrong, so I apologise. But people like that was one of the other complaints. I got, why does the science guy wearing makeup and all that? It's like, well, that's who that person is. There's a kind of badass sort of Lucy Liu type character, and the owl character is the new Sam's like girlfriend, fiance. But he doesn't.
Yeah.
But he's only where I've got to. He's just realised who she is because he's remembering as it's going along. But that it's all right for what it is. But it's very fast paced, very kind of. I don't know. It just needs a bit more in there just to make it. Because it's almost like the pace of Power Rangers.
Yeah.
You know, we need to do that. Now he's grown big. Well, grow big too. Yeah, we beat him now. Hooray! Let's go and have lunch. You know, it's a bit sort of. Yeah. That I would say, but hopefully they'll get to sort that out. But lots of people seem adamant on trying to cancel it now because it's not the wholesome show Quantum Leap was. Apparently, I'm quoting. I was reading some of the comments of the complaints. But yeah, give it a watch when it comes onto UK television.
Spotlight.
30 years in the making, Phil Tippett's passion project, Mad God, finally premiered at the 74th Locarno Film Festival in 2021, with Shudder acquiring distribution rights, prompting a limited release in theatres around June 2022. Tippett worked on the film intermittently while working on other films such as Starship Troopers and RoboCop 2. Believing that stop-motion animation was no longer appealing to modern audiences, he essentially shelved the project until his initial work on the idea resurfaced in 2010, where his team encouraged him to pick it back up. A Kickstarter campaign was launched to pay for production, exceeding the initial fundraising amount of $40,000 and going on to raise over $124,000 for the film in 2012. Some say the result is a visually stunning, haunting piece of art that almost defies explanation or interpretation. But hey, we're going to try anyway. Now, normally at this point, we go back and say, oh, where did you first watch that? Where did you?
Yeah.
However, for listeners of last week, this was my choice on the basis of I've seen it pop up a few times on Shudder. Haven't actually gone off and watched it, but obviously as part of our Halloween Spotlight series, we're all choosing something different for Halloween, and sometimes we go back for the archives of our brains.
Back to the old classics.
Yeah. But for this one, I thought I'd try something a little bit new, particularly after I read about Phil Tippett's and all of his work from the early stop motion work in Star Wars, and he progressed and became almost an aficionado of stop motion. And I kind of like the little idea that it was a Kickstarter campaign that did good. And okay, it went to the cinema, but I think it
Limited.
just about made its money back.
Mm-hmm.
But Shudder bought the rights, so who knows whether he got some more. But as the opening paragraph that I've just read out, because I'll be fair, I didn't do most of the work this week. Thanks, Damien.
That's right. Is that why you put in the some might say bit?
Well, I just thought the whole point about this is us saying whether we think it stands out as opposed to just saying it does. But this really was, his, passion. And this was taking all the stuff that he'd seen.
Well, from reading about it, it gave him a breakdown at one point, the poor bloke.
Well, I'm not surprised, to be fair.
Yeah, well, I read that there's like a 5-second sequence that took 2 years to make.
Yeah.
So you can see how that, this is 89 minutes.
Yeah, and we all hear, everyone.
I think I've took longer to put the kettle on.
Everyone involved in Wallace and Gromit, every time there's a new film, you go, oh, this is so painstaking, blah, blah, blah. Hasn't got a patch on.
No, I mean, it's nowhere near as sophisticated as what we've just watched.
But anyway, so we'll
come to that stuff.
we'll go through it. So from a casting perspective, okay, so Alex Cox plays the last man. There are a few other real people in it. One plays a nurse, and there's a couple of anarchists later on.
And it's a baby's voice.
That's right. But the real stars are the puppets and the animation and the stop motion that goes with it.
So I think it's just worth pointing out that is the Alex Cox, as in the director Alex Cox. It's not some random actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't put any notes down on there, but I just thought it's worth pointing that out.
And this is the Alex Cox known for.
Repo Man. I can't think of anything else off the top of my head.
That's right. No,
I thought you were. I thought there was something. That's one of his kind of like gotchas where it's like.
I've done Dr. Google.
I
So Alex Cox in 1972. He's
I
done
thought you were going to go Alex Cox known for.
Don't look it up now. Don't. Why? The moment's passed.
I'm now starting to doubt myself that it's even Repo Man that I'm thinking of.
Yeah, Reaper Man.
Yeah.
Sid and Nancy.
Yeah, he's essentially.
Wrote the screenplay Fear and Loneliness Vegas. He's done loads of things. Oh, cool. Because I missed that. I did not realise that was him. I was just asking the question. It wasn't.
Oh, it's not like
okay.
you know when he does that kind of.
Yeah.
No, because you're like Alex Cox. It was like Alex Cox. You were like the Alex Cox. I was like Alex Cox who?
Oh, right, I see.
Cool. Okay. So,
That's that established.
so let's move on. So for those first time listeners, what we do is normally go through the plot of the film. We'll chip in any point, but normally after one of us has gone through the point of the plot, we'll then give a little recce about what was going through our minds as we were watching the film that we're talking about in discussion, and maybe go off down a rabbit hole, depending on how we get through.
Okay, so before we start, I think it's worth pointing out. So I put this plot line together. It wasn't the easiest thing to do, and if I've missed anything, obviously you guys feel free to chip in, but don't hate on me on Twitter, but feel free to point out I might have missed something.
No, I appreciate the way as having to do it for Jesus shows you the way to the highway. I can understand how you may miss things or whatever, but yeah.
Cool. Then let us begin. Okay, so it starts off. A wispy, ghost-like creature appears on the top of a tower with 7 levels. Thunder strikes, and the world is seemingly consumed by dark matter descending on it. This is followed by a scroll that concisely expresses what is written down in Leviticus 26 to 27, the section of it where God tells Moses about the curses that will be brought down on the Israelites if they're disobedient to his laws.
Now, I need to point this out. It took me bloody ages to find out. I was typing bits of that. I had to pause it on Amazon this afternoon, and I was typing bits of it into Google. I obviously knew it was but I couldn't read. My eyes or whatever. I just couldn't read what it said at the bottom of the, where it says Leviticus. I couldn't quite make it out. So I was like,
so now the algorithm thinks you're religious.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to have Facebook feeds popping up of send money to TV ministers.
Your door will be going every other day now.
Not necessarily. Leviticus has got some of the dodgy bits in.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I have heard of it previous.
Okay,
places.
So from a film perspective, it's setting us up as we already think it's going to be. This isn't going to be a nice, happy film. No. This is, but the title says "Mad God," so it's setting the scene that this is going to be somebody high up instilling vengeance or the wrath against the lowly people that may be on Earth.
Yeah, I'll go with that. Dark opening, bit depressing, but intriguing.
Annoyingly, and I didn't want it to do this, but it reminded me of there's a bit in the Dracula film with Gary Oldman,
where
they use
dies.
They use kind of shadowy, it's like puppets or something. I don't know what they're doing. I'm not an animation expert, but that was the first thing I thought of, and I hate that film. Just want to get that off my chest. You can carry on now, Brett.
Fair enough. Well, okay, then we are introduced to an individual armoured with a gas mask. What's a gas mask? An individual is armoured with a gas mask, resembling
he's
a
armoured
soldier.
and he has a gas mask. I can't say it now.
We're introduced to an individual who's armoured and he's got a gas mask and he's resembling like what I would call like a First World War soldier.
Yep.
And he descends in a diving bow from the sky to a heavy guarded fortress. There's guards on this fortress and they soon become aware of him and they're trying to shoot him down at this diving bell, but they fail and it passes onto the netherworld. Here the soldier, who is now known as the assassin, passes through various levels each housing unique weird entities and creatures. One is a cross-section of a terrain full of fossils, while another is lifeless, half full of idols, and then he finally lands on the 6th level, which continues his journey forward on foot.
Yeah.
So is this a bit Dante? Is this a bit...
Well,
I wasn't sorry. I was thinking more. I suppose. Yeah. I hadn't thought of the. Is it 7 levels of hell in
well,
Dante?
that's what I was, because 7 levels of the tower, and I thought this is a continuation,
Yeah.
and this is descent into hell.
Mine was. I was thinking. So you're going through the dinosaur, so you're seeing creationism, and then it goes through the idols, and I don't know what the false idols.
But it would have been the mankind thing. So from the dinosaurs to believing in the false idols, through to the, I guess, science.
Because isn't there something? And I don't. It might well be in Leviticus.
Deities and all that. Sort of thing.
You don't worship false idols or something like that. So that's what I was thinking of. So this is telling us that, the kind of the journey of man, and this is why why in this universe there's the wrath of God, is because they've done exactly what he's told them not to do in the 10 Commandments, is it? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not a
Charlton
religious scholar.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've seen the film.
Is false idols in 10 Commandments?
That's right,
That
yeah.
part of the 10 Commandments. Okay, cool. I know more than I thought.
Yeah, tune in for
Praise
our
the
Easter,
Lord.
Tune in for our Easter special on that one. But yeah, no, it was okay. I was intrigued at this point because this could go anywhere now. Now he's landed. What was he attacking? Don't know. Is it? My brain was trying to unpack the metaphor. Was it a metaphor? What was the symbolism? Because there was just too much being thrown at you to even process
I mean, to be
it.
perfectly honest, the first time I started to try and watch this, I fell asleep. And that's not a reflection on the film itself.
I was going to say, of all the films to fall asleep
know,
to, this isn't one of them.
I was knackered, and the soundscape is at this this point is just quite hypnotic, wispy kind of music, and I was just like, I can't stay awake. I've actually since watched it 3 times, but
yeah, because I think we should point out as well at this point that there is no actual dialogue really throughout the entire film. It's just sort of noises and sounds and music and stuff. So it might not be for you if that's something you're not into.
Well, let's face it, this film might not be for you anyway.
Yeah.
Or it might be.
we can come on to that later.
Yeah.
But there's still good bits at the moment. So, if you're watching it up to now and you're waiting for them to start talking, it don't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably worth us pointing out.
And also at this point, jury's still out on where the hell this film is going to go anyway.
Yeah.
Which again is what I actually like about this is because it's a bit different. It's not cliche at the moment, and it's a stop motion one that I'm still interested in.
Yeah, I actually felt, probably not quite at this point, but maybe another 10, 15 minutes in, kind of forgot, if you like, that it was stop motion.
Yeah.
It just, I don't know, your brain just sort of dismisses that.
Yeah. Because it's very
Unlike
well
watching
done.
Wallace and Gromit, where you can, all the way through.
I mean, it's because it's so well done, and it's almost stop motion, but also like, I don't know, it's like the world's longest Peter Gabriel video. Because it's not, like you say, it's not just, when people say stop motion, they think Harryhausen and thing, but it's like, there's stuff in the background,
This
there's
is
stuff
kind
in
of
the
next
foreground,
level.
there's stuff on
Yeah.
all...
And also the special effects
Yeah, that's what I mean.
that
and
just
the
go
effects on
hand
it,
in
yeah.
hand. It's not like the old days where there'd be a sparkler in the background of stop motion, animation. This is, a proper piece of
There's depth
filming.
to it.
Yeah.
There's bits where, the assassin, when his hand's moving, the leather on his coat is moving as well.
Yeah.
It's not, it's not like you're watching a clay model. Anyway, should we go on?
Let's do that.
Yeah, so he lands, he starts beginning the rest of his journey on foot. He passes through a labyrinth of horrors as he slowly makes his way down from one level to the next. He's got a map in his possession that keeps disintegrating, presumably losing the parts that have already been covered. So he gets to some point, that part of the map seems to disappear. I'm guessing that's what that means.
I've had a few nights out like that.
Finally, on the 9th level, he finds himself in a room full of briefcases. He too has one in his possession, and we see that there's a time bomb inside it. As he times it to explode, an unknown force snatches him away.
Okay, so on the face of it, it sounds, oh, I'm just walking along and, he does that. And that's the main gist of the story. But along the way...
Yeah, I thought we would talk.
Yeah,
that's why.
no, absolutely. So the stuff that he comes across and the stuff that he sees... and there's little bits in it, and some of it did actually remind me of Labyrinth. There's these little things on the floor that he just steps on.
Yeah,
and they're done.
Yeah, two little gnomes. They're having an argument about something.
Oh yeah,
and then boom, he just steps on them.
Was this the bit with all the soldiers stuck together as well? Or was that later on?
No, I think that's later on.
Remember now.
So this is the bit, but where basically you're getting an idea of the workings of the underworld, or wherever we may be. That there's a horrible scene where these huge monsters are basically shitting out crap.
Yeah.
And they're turning that crap into these little, not little, but these figures that autonomous.
Oh, yeah, autonomans.
The ones
autonomans,
they didn't have faces, did they?
Yeah, that go off and do little workings for the whoever may be in charge of the netherworld.
There's a metaphor.
Yeah, but along their way,
you
get it's constantly hammered home that they're just meaningless, they're worthless. They're going about their routines, and this big old flying brick tablet thing that go around will just take a few of them out. One will get knocked off or get trapped in piece of mechanical gubbins. And they're just expendable pieces of shit, basically. and they are created from.
It's a metaphor.
No, well,
I think that's just probably what we're going to come on to when we talk about it at the end. But yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of every life in there is indifferent to the life that it's interacting with and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Even him, even the so-called hero, if you like, the assassin, the one we're supposed to be following on the journey. He's indifferent to life. He just steps on some poor little gnomes. They look quite cute. They did. I thought, we're going to go down that route.
And also, when you're first in line for a new mission, this isn't a mission you want to be doing, is it? So he's going about it in a lot cooler way than I'd be going about it.
But this was the point where I thought I'd grasped it, because it's like, okay, yeah, I get this. This is the metaphor, the piece of shit. He's trying to blow up. Very kind of another brick in the wall kind of thing. He's going to blow it all up now.
Yeah.
But no.
Then it takes another.
Yeah. It was like Inception. We then drop another level. The dream within a dream within a dream.
Yeah.
Because then...
Yeah, so as we said, he's been snatched away, and the assassin is placed on an operating table and stripped down for the entertainment of unknown spectators laughing in the background.
I hate it when that happens.
It turns out that innumerable others have faced this fate, and that possibly they were all on the same mission in which they also failed. He's then operated on by a sadistic doctor who rips his chest apart, pulling out all the intestines and internal gubbins, but then moves on and starts pulling out jewels, bits of books, eventually finding the object of his search, a hairy, inhuman infant. The doctor then drills into the assassin's head and starts looking into his memories. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean... I don't know what's going on here, to be perfectly honest.
I think at this point, Shell walked into the room, had a look at what I was watching, and then walked out again. So in hindsight, see, this is the thing. This is why I've watched it 3 times, because you don't really get what's going on.
And you fell asleep.
And I fell asleep the first time, yeah. So I've actually watched it 3 1/4, because I think it's like 20 minutes before I fell asleep. But based on even to like we just said about possession, the futility of life, whatever we were saying.
Yeah,
you're just digging shit all the time. What's the purpose of these jewels, and watches and stuff coming out of it? Is it just that's what we value?
Well, yeah, and again, I wasn't sure
Is that
whether.
our worth?
What was Jules to him?
Yeah.
And what he likes.
And again, I wasn't sure whether this was like I'm getting rid of like the body bits first because that's what people are expecting. So that's just me or the assassin as a human, and then it's almost like delving down into, as you said, the stuff that makes up people, i.e., money, all their concerns, and maybe the books were everything that he's learned or whatever. Yeah. And I didn't know whether that hairy, whatever it was supposed to be is like, what was it called? The psychologist, the internal
the
child thing. Yeah,
the ego and the super.
Oh right, no,
yeah. So I wasn't
talking, Floyd.
Yeah,
Not Floyd.
So I wasn't sure
cooking.
whether that was like his soul or whether that was his inner being or something.
That.
Yeah.
I don't know. It
Someone's
could have just
writing
been
a
his.
dissertation, aren't they?
Well, it could have been his evil. You could have had this evil twin growing inside him. But I wasn't sure whether that's what the director was trying to get across, is that you've got all the flesh and then there's the bits that make him up.
Yeah, the bits that make up who you are, your possessions,
Your identity,
your not your wants, your need, your wants.
Yeah.
It's a bit of
people will want
Maslow's hierarchy
possessions.
of needs thrown in for balance there. Then.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Ooh,
Well, he does obviously because he did it. But
do you know what it reminded me of?
what?
The bit in Flash Gordon where they try and brainwash Dr. Zarkov and you get all of his... No, but you remember when he got all his memories on the screen and you see him as a ball and they're all very much a bit clockwork orangey. They're flashing and thing there and they're trying to... You see him as a kid and all that and it's just all there and he's just trying to do it and he survives because he remembers the words to the Beatles, all you need is love. Yeah. And it's just that, but again, clinging on to that bit of humanity, clinging on to that memory.
Unfortunately, with Mad God, this isn't as wholesome.
Yeah, that's true.
As we didn't do the soundtrack.
Slightly different audience.
Yeah.
Yeah, because now we find ourselves in a frozen world, and there are numerous people in the assassin's attire, and they're engaged in physical labour and what looks like a sort of grotesque version of a Soviet gulag or the Siberian mines, something like that. The last man, with comically long fingernails, keeps a watch over them. He is then handed a map by 3 witches who have just stitched it together. He looks it over, validates its accuracy, and then proceeds into a hall where again numerous men in the assassin's attire are standing in attention. He walks to a diving bell that is to be lowered and hands the map over to the assassin inside.
Yeah, so at this point I wasn't sure whether it was a flashback or a flash forward. But
yeah, I got really confused with this bit.
But I guess it makes sense when the assassin first went about the role of the is he just does he know that the assassin's dead now and he's just sending another assassin on the task? I also had because you get the feeling that this is a powerful man, blah blah blah, and why don't you cut your freaking fingernails?
Yeah.
How can you do things like that? Just cut your fingernails.
I mean, he picks up a pair of slippers. How's he going to wear them?
Exactly.
He should have gone for the sandals that were next to it.
Yeah.
But it's a pair of sliders.
Yeah, and obviously we got the 3 witches. Now I wasn't sure whether this was like a flashback to either the old Greek mythology or whatever it was, where you had those 3 people, or like a Macbeth type thing, or
hundreds of references to
Shakespearean tragedy.
Yeah,
but
you've got Shakespeare, you've got Greek mythology.
It's just that idea that in the behind the scenes you've got these witches that are getting their minds together to create this map for him, and again you're getting that mashup between real world and stop motion. That again.
That was a mashup.
Yeah, cheers, David. Wow, just that's done so seamlessly as well. So yeah, really impressed by that. And you kind of get a feeling. Oh my God, can you imagine being the next assassin in line to do that job?
Yeah.
Well, if we take the Shakespearean tragedy approach, you've got the witches fueling ambition and desire. So could there be an ambition and desire of the assassin? So by creating the map, are they showing him the way to achieve his ambition and desires? maybe.
Maybe.
Just just
No,
picking it
that's
apart.
not something I consider because of the title of the film. I've looked at it in a prism that guy is just literally the last man, not necessarily wielding any power, and it's a world that's been forsaken by God,
Yeah.
and he's just trying to do something. Whether that's kill the world or what, I don't know. But
Well,
maybe we can discuss that later.
yeah.
Got a lot of things to discuss later. Oh, shall I carry on?
Go on then.
Go for it.
So the assassin begins his journey as the last man keeps watch over him through an elaborate surveillance system. While in there, he seems to make and or receive SOS signals via Morse code. The assassin lands in a dystopian landscape, then finds himself in a war zone before beginning his descent into what seems like a bottomless staircase. At this point, it cuts back to the doctor operating on the assassin as what... I didn't write that very well. It cuts back to the doctor operating on the assassin, and it seems the descent was the first act of the film before the assassin's capture. Does that make sense? I don't think that makes sense.
So you're
but
saying
what I meant,
that happened before he was
yeah,
captured?
is in like he's drilled into his head and he's getting the memories.
I got you.
So we're seeing,
Flashbacks.
yeah, we're seeing a kind of a bit that was missed because we see him get out the diving bell.
Yeah.
But then, so I know, I think, yeah, how I've written it here I was thinking that we're seeing what he did between the bit that we don't see, if you see what I mean. I've confused myself.
Yeah, so I think visually it felt a bit different as well, and this was almost exploring the use of a lot more of machines. So previously we'd seen all of the grotesque animals with him walking around and all that kind of good stuff. This time it's
But a
him.
lot more natural, weren't they? They were natural creatures, like you said. It was the
Well, your definition of natural and mine are
no,
very
I mean rather than-
Organic.
you know,
They're organic.
Yeah.
That's the word I'm looking
Yeah.
for.
Not mechanical. They're not.
Yeah.
It's not.
But now it's him going through war-torn landscapes.
Yeah.
With he gets on a motorbike to start with, doesn't last long, finds
some
a
sort of like
car,
an armored.
just happens to have a big
vehicle.
spotlight on it that he
Yeah.
managed to hotwire, and starts going through a big old tank battle. Somehow manages to get all through all that, and then you're right. Then he goes down this winding. It's a square descent into
Yeah.
hell, different level,
Just
or
wide
wherever,
enough to get
into a void.
a truck through.
Yeah. Any other thoughts? I wasn't sure whether you were contemplating saying something or not.
No, I'm just taking it all in.
Okay, so carrying on. So there's a nurse who again is a human actor again. So this constant play between stop motion and real life actors. So a nurse takes away a wailing infant and hands it over to this.
Sorry, it's that thing that was.
Yeah.
You said a wailing infant. Sorry, just it's
The thing that
the
came
thing
out of the
yeah,
assassin.
Yeah, sorry.
And hands it over to this ghost-like, black, dark, wispy character with evil claws. And again, dressed up like an early modern plague doctor. He's got that whole mask with the beak on it and everything like that. The entity then carries the baby through another series of terrifying landscapes before arriving in the laboratory of an alchemist. The alchemist just so happens to be another sadistic master who tortures his servants and kills his pets according to his own whim. And the entity brings the infant before the alchemist. Yeah, so at the point where the nurse hands it over, again, we're getting a bit of that human side. So you get the feeling she doesn't want to hand the baby over. And also there's a little bit of me of thought, because this is a scary ghost-like character as well. And from everything we've seen, I wasn't sure whether he was just like going to do away with her.
Oh, yeah, just
even when he turned around, I
yeah.
was expecting like a claw just to like take her head off or something like that. And also that alchemist, he's a nasty piece of work.
He is.
So he's got two big old giants that are basically shoveling shit But that's their job. But they're having a bit of a fight. You know, they're getting it on.
They're knocking 10 barrels of shit out of each other.
Yeah, literally. And then he starts electrocuting them just because he can. You know,
Well, no, he wants them to get back to work.
Yeah, there's other ways of doing it, but he
Yeah.
almost kills them. And then they start getting back to work. And again, just to show the brutality of it, one of them just pokes the other one's eye out.
Proper made me chuckle, that did.
It's like, he's having a bad day. You know? Yeah, so then we come on to the alchemist, and there's a different tone to this one bit. So he's got some, for want of a better word, pets that he's keeping, and it's all bright coloured and
and they're really happy, aren't
softer.
they? Yeah, for the first time in this entire 50 minutes we've been watching.
He starts, feeding them maggots basically, but to them that's their bounty,
Yeah.
So they start feeding each other maggots.
Is this where the colour scheme changes as well?
Yeah. These are really these little things are really
that.
bright.
No, you said they're of different colour, but like the palette of the whole thing changes.
And yes, they're
It's
eating
neon kind of.
Yeah.
they're eating maggots, which is a bit gross, but they're happy.
But a lot of animals would eat maggots. That's
Exactly.
Yeah.
But genuine sounds of
Yeah.
or whatever it was, and you kind of think, oh, okay, so he's got some pets.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, presses a button, a door opens, and out comes this bloody evil-looking spider
Arachnid
type thing.
Yeah.
And he just eats one of the other, obviously not pets, but the food for the arachnid.
Yeah.
So it's like, you did a bit of work.
But then I think that just carries on the whole motif of the film, because the whatever they are, the one of them is feeding the other one.
Yeah.
But then as soon as that arachnid comes along, he just legs it, leaves him to get killed. And then you got like these weird little bug things playing cards at a table. They're just like they look across, go meh, and carry on playing cards and drinking tea
with their massive cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the Lion King, really, isn't it? It's a circle of life. But moving on then, so we got the alchemist then selects a book from his shelves, and from it, the entity selects a remedy and proceeds to crush the infant, extracting its visceral liquid, which the alchemist heats and then sets to grind into a glitter-like substance, which is really nice to watch. This is then handed over to the entity, whilst the alchemist opens a shutter to reveal what looks like a star. The entity hurls the substance into the star, and we witness the rise and fall of an entire planetary system, culminating in two new assassins setting off a bomb.
No, I just want to say that's my interpretation of what we saw at the end, because I don't know if that is what that's supposed to be.
Yes. So there's a few bits in that. First of all, he puts down the infant, and we already see the spikes, I think, at this point. So you kind of think...
Yeah. Do you know what? I did get a little bit taken out of it by that point, because those spikes look to me very much like the things you put on walls to make
soundproofing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they're that fussed about hearing the infant cry or not.
So I got taken out of that just then didn't feel so...
Yeah. But you kind of know what's going to happen, and gets crushed to death, and the life force gets turned into this silver block that then gets crushed up, and then he sprinkles it on, throws it out into the universe, whatever it is, and there's a UFO that turns up.
Oh yeah,
flying around. And you're right. It's the formation of another universe, because that happens. The interesting thing as well, there are lots of not tombstones,
monoliths.
Yeah. Like in 2001.
Yeah. I think that's supposed to
be on purpose.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was thinking. This is obviously a hark back to the monoliths and that, and like creation of sentient beings and all that kind of good stuff. I thought, all right, nice touch.
Maybe it's a prequel.
So and then we start seeing the formation, the rise and fall of another universe.
Yeah. But what does it all mean? There's so many things. Have you got is it the innocence of the child that allows it to be ground down into glitter? Is it like a sacrifice maybe? Is it a...
But yeah, is the assassin a Jesus type character, and it's giving his
Well, he would be the god. Could it be his son, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah,
He
of course
be
it
a
would.
son
Yeah,
of
yeah.
a-
See, that's
Yeah,
that's-
no, you're right.
See,
though.
my whole theology's gone out the window now.
But the only thing is, though, the assassin didn't do it willingly
No.
because he was there to get a big bomb and blow the whole thing up.
Yeah. So there's only like one more line of this plot left. So there's
Yeah,
there's
go
a
for it, go for
there's
it.
a mid-credit scene where we see the last man peering down into a chamber in which the diving bell was sent originally, probably to just start the whole process again. And then as a post-credits, we get a final close-up of a blinking eye. I'm presuming that is the last man again because it looks like him, but who knows? They could have just, we need an eye, we'll use yours. So I don't know. But that's it, and then that's the film over. So, discuss.
Yeah. On the plus side, we just saved you an hour and a half. But at the
Yeah.
same point, you may want to go back in and freeze it and have a look.
So, and I think that's the interesting thing about this one is I've watched this a couple of times now, and the weird thing is it's not an easy watch. Okay, and I wouldn't say this is a horror film as such. It's grotesque in a lot of ways, and first time I watched it, up until like near the end, I was thinking, has he just got a load of ideas for different creatures and different grotesque bits and set scenes with disgusting animals that he's just thrown together? And at the end, particularly that universe being created, I thought, well, actually, no, there is something deeper than this. And that's why I watched it again. Admittedly, it was a couple of days later. And then you're looking at the whole thing and you go, okay, so yes, it's obviously, you could take this two ways. Is it more religious, or is it more of a statement of, us as individuals and how we're being governed, or us as individuals and how we're destined to destroy ourselves, or we're always battling against something that is going to come to our demise. But there's this constant cycle potentially, and it could be the director saying because it's termed mad God, is it in his eyes that actually the whoever he believes is ruling us, whether that again could be political or ethereal, just always making it our destiny to wind up at the end of our days going, oh, why did we all do this? Is it working the grind, as it were? Is there more to it? There's loads in this film, which I was really surprised about.
Yeah, I think on one level it is literally just
Sledgehammer really long.
the inevitability that if there is a God, it creates the universe. The universe eventually goes against God's will and gets destroyed. That's one way of looking at it.
Yeah,
it might be a simplistic way of looking at it.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think this is definitely, and you got the quote at the beginning. This is definitely like it's been abandoned. I think.
Yeah.
Maybe the last man is God looking back down. Maybe trying to do something to send someone to save it, but
the other thing is, and this goes back to the title as well.
That was my first thought.
It goes back to the title. This, religion would have us say that God is this, all powerful creature. And new religion is, best interest and caring and all this kind of stuff. This is just a different take. It's like, well, actually, old school God, was a more vengeful creature that was, smiting and smoting, all this kind of stuff, and again, the scenes that were thrust upon us, it's all dark, it's bleak, it's not a caring God, it's more of a as the title would suggest, a mad vengeance type God.
It's all the plagues, isn't it? You've got all the different plagues and all the different things that were promised. It's almost like maybe this is what happened if Moses didn't follow the Ten Commandments and the plagues of Egypt and the locusts and I forgot the others now.
It's no good looking at me.
Like firstborns being killed and all that. There's all sorts of stuff, and it is just it's just mad. But yeah, I just think it's more like a history of humanity with the levels. Like you said earlier on, you've got the basic levels of sort of the God thing, then the deity worship through to our sort of industrial age and all the crap that we do and deal with there. And I'd like to think that the last man who's watching down is the kind of maybe the mad God. And again, that what mad is he? Is he crazy, or is he just annoyed at us mad? And it's that kind of, he keeps trying to.
So it's funny because on the second
assassin,
watch, on the second watch was when I thought, well, maybe he's not God at all. He is just a man, the last man left, and he's trying to destroy. Continuously sending someone down with a bomb.
Just to end it. Maybe.
To end it all, yeah, exactly. Just to go right. That's it. I've had I know what's going. I know what's happening down there. It's horrendous. God has forsaken us. I'm gonna destroy it all, and just keeps failing. I don't know.
Yeah, come start again.
Yeah, but maybe that is the.
Or maybe that's what God's doing.
The humane thing to do is to end it and start again, which was that was your Noah's Ark, wasn't it? In those days,
Was it?
I say in those days. I mean, he flooded it, and whoever was on the ark was still all right.
Yeah.
It's that kind of the old Control Alt Delete of God world. Reset it, start it again.
Okay, so we don't. We're even the jury's out whether this man is a god, or it's just a man.
Well, he's referenced as the last man.
Yeah, but then.
Yeah.
But then we've also got the assassin, haven't we? We haven't got the soldier
Yeah.
or that would lead into your blowing it all up thing, and maybe starting.
I mean, is there reference in the Bible? Does God have an assassin in the Bible? Is one of the angels an assassin? I don't know.
A big bang, maybe, if he wants to blow it up because he's carrying a bomb.
Maybe. Who knows?
But that was probably the assassins were the plagues because he'd send down I can't remember to look at that one.
Well, we tried. Well, he tried several times before because when the assassin goes down, there's
the
all
suitcases.
those other
That's what I mean.
suitcases.
He's just relentlessly, continuously trying again and again to
end it.
To end it all, which is kind of all well and good if you look at it at that. But then, what is the thing inside the assassin, which then, essentially gives birth to a whole new universe? Is that hope? Where's this coming from? Is that hope? Does that represent hope of a brave new world?
The only thing that didn't make me think it was hope is because of how it looked. Now, again, that's why I was thinking: is this like the soul, and the soul could look yucky depending on everything that's been influenced. But if it, in my eyes, if it was hope, that would be like when you open up this briefcase from Pulp Fiction, it just shines and gold.
But then
but who knows?
It gets turned into that.
Yeah,
because it becomes it becomes that, and it the soundscape changes as well. It becomes
but maybe
harpy.
that's it. It starts off like the evil yucky soul. Or
From
whatever.
despair comes hope.
Yeah, and then they crush it in a mincer. Boil it up a bit, make it into a block, and then grind it up, and then it becomes nice and.
Yeah, so we've got, just looking at the actual place, it was water turning to blood, raining frogs, lice and gnats, wild animals, then pestilence, boils, thunderstorms and hails of fire, and then good old locusts just to round it up again. So, which pretty much are all in there somewhere.
Yeah, that's true. In some form or another.
Whoa, somebody's coming.
But thinking about it, and which makes me lead more on the abandoned by God theory, is that for all the biblical stuff that we've got, it steers well away from the four horsemen of the apocalypse. So we don't get a revelation.
This is it. This is why I don't think he is God. That's why I don't, or a God. I think he is.
God's just God.
He's gone, exactly. He's
I don't think there
he's
is.
So everything that he said in Leviticus is happened, and he's just gone.
Yeah, because this would be. I think this is just pure Old Testament thing. Because if we've done that, we've been abandoned and we've ruined it all with these plagues. We've never had a Messiah. We've been a naughty boy, So that bit's never happened. So it's just pure Old Testament wrath, fury, and vengeance.
Yeah.
And we've been left with this last man and all these and the assassin and all the weird creatures.
Yeah.
Of the night, and that's obviously why his nails are so long, because he's been there ages.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, actually, that's a good point because it isn't like, if I'm remembering this rightly, like the likes of Moses or Cain and all that, aren't they hundreds of years old?
Methuselah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm really hazy on this stuff. But is there some reference in some Bible stories that some of the named individuals are actually like hundreds and hundreds of years old?
Yeah, there is something there, but a lot of that as well was the fact that the calendars were different then.
No, I know that, but what I mean is that what this could be representing? The fact that his nails are long.
Oh, an older gentleman, you
And
would
I
have
think he
lived
could be
longer in those days.
an original human, if you like.
That's had to
That's watched this, from beginning through to.
Yeah.
Maybe it's Methuselah.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
I don't think we're ever going to come to a conclusion.
No.
Oh, no, we never will.
But
I can see why the guy that made it went mad.
well, that is the thing as well, because stop motion animation in its own right is
Notoriously time consuming.
and burdenful. But you also think for years and years having these thoughts about grotesque things and them doing vile things to other people, that would take a bit of a turn on anyone, I think. If you're a director of a horror film, then you're working with a load of other people on set. There's a bit of banter as well, and they're only shooting for a few months at a time, and then it's done on to the next one. Sometimes a sequel, but who knows. But this was years and years.
Yeah, but it's not him on his own.
No, but of him thinking
it's his
about
vision,
it. And,
definitely. But he had teams of volunteers working with him at weekends, and all of that sort of stuff. So he had as a whole production team.
Filmmakers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I get your point. To have this stuff in your head and then trying to get that into, it'd be hard enough to draw it, but then you're making it. You're creating this stuff.
You'd need a little bit of a break to go and work on Jurassic Park or something.
Yeah. something nice and friendly.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go round. Last thoughts of the films and give it a rating. So, Brett, just because you're in front of me, let's start off with you.
Okay, final thoughts. I think it is an extremely well-made film in regards to stop motion. I think what lets it down is its kind of lack of plot and explanation, and even just a little bit of dialogue here or there might steer people in the right direction, because I think with that, this could have been opened up to a whole lot more people who would have actually found it appealing. Even if suddenly you did voices for the characters or something, I think it might have hooked in a lot more people and been bigger than it was, because obviously, the groundwork and effort has been put into this. It's visually stunning and it's really good. And, at one point it does look like a really long Peter Gabriel video, but it's better than that. But I think what lets it down is the interpretation stuff's great, but it can get a bit boring if you're not really paying attention, or you need that little bit more to hook a more mainstream viewer in.
So that surprises me by you. By a lot of the
I'm playing
directors...
it as a mainstream viewer.
Okay.
But because even I got the more you watch it, I think the more you get out of it. But the first time I put it on, I was like, well, yeah, whatever. I was not really that interested, because it was what's going on. I think once you get to the end and you get an idea of the story, then you go, okay, so it's about that. And then when you watch it again, you get a bit more of a...
Yeah, you start seeing that.
But mate, and even like
visuals.
talking about it now, I've got a lot more out of it again now, chatting to it with you guys, than I did when I put it on the first time, because it's not that thing of holding attention. Wallace and Gromit are popular for a reason, but I'm not comparing it to that because it's a lot deeper than that. But it needs that for something that's stop motion. I think it could almost it did hypnotize you to sleep, but it's that sort of thing of it needs that just that little bit of dialogue, just that little bit. I think would have kept people hooked in along the way, and I think that's what lets it down a bit, and that sort of. And that would have helped steer the plot because I think otherwise, we're trying to work a plot out from this, and we're people that like watching stuff and trying to do that. Your average punter is probably going to watch this for 10 minutes and then turn it off and go, "What a load of crap!" And then all that work's lost, which is a shame. So, do you want a verdict as well?
Yeah, go on.
I'm gonna go. What would I give it? So I'm enjoying it more now. This is the most I've enjoyed it at the moment. 6.5 to 7 again.
Okay.
I think. Because I think there's a lot more there. And even, I think they need that little Blade Runner super duper director's cut over the top with a couple of voiceovers and some dialogue. And I think it might go out and suddenly people will be picking up on it and go, "Oh, you seen that film?" But yeah, we saw it before the super director's cut version.
Right, cool. Moving on to Damien.
Okay. So yeah, as mentioned, I fell asleep the first time I started watching it. I was knackered, but it did kind of send me to sleep. I agree with what Brett just said. Some form of dialogue, or even like the old-fashioned films where they used to have the little title cards pop up and sort of
Little piano bell.
yeah, something like that. Just something, just to let you know what you're watching when you're watching it would help. But having said that, as I've watched it 3 times now, and the more I watch it, the more it makes sense, even though we can't work out what it's actually trying to say. But that's not a bad thing. Would I recommend it to anyone else? No, probably not. Because I wouldn't have carried on watching it if we didn't have to watch it for this podcast. I'm glad I did, but I wouldn't have done. I would have, if I'd have come across this on Shudder and read, because the title page thing, it says something about descending into an apocalyptic world full of war pigs and blah, blah, blah. And that actually sounds really cool. Start watching it, 10 minutes in, nothing's really happened, and you're like, I would have turned it off and gone, no, this is not for me. But I'm glad I watched it. And like I said, I've watched it 3 times since, and I'm even now, because we've got it on in the background, I'm kind of hypnotised by it. So first impression, it reminded me a little bit of a Tool music video from the 90s, and I meant to check this. I need to check if he may well have done the animation for that video, because it looks so similar, especially the those ones that
I
are
feel
doing
they missed a trick not getting War Pigs by Black Sabbath in this film somewhere as well.
Yeah. But all of that said, it is a masterpiece of art, and this sounds really poncy. And I hate saying this about films because it sounds
so arty.
Yeah, it does. It sounds proper poncy, but it is. It's almost, even though I've said I wouldn't recommend it to anyone, it's almost like everyone should see this, just to see how good stop motion can be.
Yeah.
But they won't, and I wouldn't make people, because I wouldn't want to be held responsible for people's negative emotions after watching it. But yeah, so my rating is, it's a high 7.
Cool.
Based on really good animation. The fact that it's given us, and I genuinely didn't think that we would manage to talk that much about it, and we've talked for an hour and 20 minutes roughly. So that says something about how good it is.
Yep.
I reckon. So yeah, it's a high 8. High 7 rather.
He did Howard the Duck as well.
He's done loads.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a tough one, because you're right. Would I recommend it to anyone? Difficult, because it's not an easy watching film, and you're right, Brett. There's the limited dialogue in it. I actually don't mind that. And some of the films that we've watched and reviewed over the last year, whether it's a Lynch film or whatever, there's dialogue on that. And I'm still confused and still lost.
I know what you mean. It does remind me a little bit of Eraserhead as well. With that, and when it gets to the industrial bit, there is that kind of Lynchian thing. Sorry,
and I think you're right. It's almost like a piece of art that he's put out there. I was a big fan of H.R. Geiger. And all the alien stuff.
Yeah, I definitely was getting that in the
and it's not but by no means a copy. Geiger was almost like softer, more erotic,
and there's a lot more organic.
Yeah,
and it's almost.
This is more
we talked a lot about body horror the other week.
Cyberpunk, gritty, disgusting, grotesque. And it absolutely is. And I didn't mind the lack of dialogue, and which surprised me as well, because again, I normally hate trying to work stuff out.
So I generally thought you wouldn't enjoy this. When I was watching it, I was thinking,
but that's the weird thing.
Regret this.
I don't know whether enjoy is the right word. I don't know if you can, whether it's a film you enjoy or appreciate, and that sounds a bit wankery, but that's the best way I can describe it. I don't enjoy anything about the film, but that's the point. You're not supposed to enjoy it. But like you, I appreciate not just the stop motion stuff, but a lot of the imagery, and actually the fact that there is a story to be told there. Whether we worked it out,
whether we've got any of what we've said is right, I've got no clue.
But I really appreciated it. And as I said, I watched it a couple of times, and I'm of the same opinion. I think people, not everyone, but I think people should watch it, but go into it knowing that it's not a horror, it's not a film that's going to be easy to follow, but again, just to experience it, I'd almost say it'd be worth watching in the cinema. In a darkened room with proper surround sound, even though there's no dialogue. There's a lot of imagine all the explosions coming.
I think the soundscape
Yeah.
would lend itself. I'm pretty certain that was considered, and if you were watching it on sort of Dolby surround and all that, the way the music is set to it would definitely come in. You know, it'll go in one ear and then you'd hear it in the other. You know, all that sort of stuff.
And imagine if this was released in the early 90s, you know, and if people more inclined like Jay and Silent Bob were watching it after, you know,
a toke or two.
A mad session.
God help them. But yeah, no, I thought it was really clever, and it's quite obvious the amount of work that went into it, and I appreciated it. And I'm probably of the same opinion that it warrants a high 7. I'm not going to give it an 8 because, you know, I think that it's just, you know,
it's almost purposely inaccessible in some way.
Yeah,
they've put that wall there themselves, haven't they?
But again,
talking
you know,
to the mic, please.
But
sorry.
But the other thing was, you know, it was obvious that, you know, this is, you know, created over a long period of time, and you know, if he had a bigger budget and, you know, expense whatever, then it may have actually turned out to be something completely different that wouldn't have been as hard hitting, and as good as it may have just been a horror film that we could have forgotten about quite easily.
Definitely. Yeah.
And I'm not going to forget about this one,
no.
but for the right reasons.
No, I think I'm likely to probably after I've edited this, watch it again to pick, because I don't think any of us are necessarily wrong in what we're seeing and what we've talked about. So I'm going to probably watch it again with that in mind, and see if I can pick out any more.
It's like the cave in Dagobah. What's in there? What you take with you.
It's almost as if it's the type of, you know, going back to what you said about a piece of art. It's almost as like this is the sort of thing you'd expect to see on a plinth in the Tate.
Yeah.
On a you know, a particular style of screen with the, you know, all the lighting and all that sort of stuff. And You know, because I think it's one of those that even though it's a film, there is so you could walk into an art gallery at any point and see this on screen, not knowing anything else about it, and still appreciate what you're watching on the screen, whether you know anything about what's happened before or after. If you see what I mean.
Yep. Cool.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of our toughest
tough watch
spotlights we've done.
The other bit I was just going to chuck on the end of there is that in a similar artistic way, it really reminds me of Repo, the genetic opera. Did anyone ever see that?
No.
That's messed up. I may recommend that somewhere down the
Oh
line.
God.
But it's got Paul Savino, Sarah Brightman, the girl from Spy Kids who's older now, and all that. But it's all about like body parts from in the future and what they're worth and stuff like that. But it's as messed up as this is.
See, I think I was going to go for a horror, even though we're going to be out of Halloween pretty much by the time my choice comes round. I was going to carry the horror theme on for one more episode, purely because I only got to choose one horror film, and I felt a bit put out about that. But after watching this, I think I'm going to go for just Dumbo or something.
Well, speaking of which,
Yeah.
we are at that point in the evening where I throw the baton over the fence in this case to Brett to choose what we will be watching and reviewing and critiquing on our spotlight for next week.
Well, I'm going to keep the horror sort of element of it, but not so much in this sort of horror, more in the mind. What's the word? The mind fuck horror, I believe it's called.
Okay.
Where you're going to, a bit more.
We go more suspense.
A bit more surreal, a bit more psychological.
Okay.
And we're going to turn the clock back to 2013, so not that old, not that long ago, but I think it was kind of overlooked and forgotten about in its time, and has since gained a following again on the film circuit and the streaming services and whatever. It's James Ward Burkett, I think they say it. It's his directorial debut, and it was called A Coherence. And if you're playing along at home, it is available on Amazon Prime in the UK.
Cool. For free.
And it's free, yes. And it is described as a surreal science fiction psychological thriller.
There we go. I'm not going to veto that, Damien.
No, I'm not going to veto it. I'm just trying to work out. Is that the dinner party one?
Yes.
Yep, I know the one.
Excellent. So that's our homework for next week. And as Brett said, if you want to play along, that's on Amazon Prime.
That's the one. I mean, maybe other places, but it's definitely.
Has anyone got any suggestions for songs I can use to end this episode? Because
Sledgehammer.
Well, you got two ways. You go Mad World by Gary Jules, or just some. Yeah, no, yeah. Some
that
evil...
one from Morph.
Oh yeah, to the Heartbeat art gallery, whatever it's called.
Or some music by Tool.
Vision On, that's it. Yeah.
Tool, yeah. I've just checked. It wasn't him that did Tool.
It was not. No, it's very similar though. The one I'm thinking of. Someone clearly just copying his work, I expect. Anyway, sorry, Paul, you want to close this episode out?
No, it's fine.
We're just waffling on.
No doubt you'll edit some of this out or not if you can't be asked. So this has been episode 77 of the Cult Faction podcast with our spotlight on Phil Tippett's Mad God on Shudder Now. Thanks for listening. Do not forget, if you are listening on any of the streaming services, to give us a like, give us a review. That'd be more than welcome.
Apple Podcast.
On Apple Podcast or any other of the streaming services, but as Damien says, Apple Podcast is where we would like most of the reviews and comments.
Because what happens, you get a lot of reviews on there, then you become global, and then Spotify sign you exclusively.
Yeah, Joe Rogan shitting himself.
Yeah. And don't forget, you can check us out on TikTok as well. We've got a few more of our uploads.
Quizzical videos.
We've got one more. I'm only doing 10 horror movie quizzes this time. So we've got one more to go before the end of the week.
Cool. Ooh. And for all the plethora of other content that Cult Faction has at its disposal, you can find us and check us out at the Mothership, Brett.
Cultfaction.com.
And if you do have any views on Mad God or anything else that we reviewed over the year or so that you may have been listening to on the podcast, or if you've got any suggestions, or if you just want to say hi, or if you want a free t-shirt, no, I'm only joking, then drop us an email to
cultfactionpodcast@mail.com.
So I've been Paul Hawkins tonight, genuinely messed up still by Mad God, and as ever I have been joined by
Brett Summers
and
Damien Hicks.
Thanks for listening. Don't have nightmares.
Get up in the morning, slaving for bread, sir, so that every mouth can be fed. Oh, me Israelite.
One, two, two. 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2.
Fuck it, what was I going to do?
Well, why don't talk about it? Oh, see what?
Ouch.
I can talk if you want to. And if we don't talk, and then we don't talk, then you're no friend of mine. See, we can talk. We can talk. Everybody jump in the talk.
Thank you. I'm not entirely sure anyone would describe us as witty or humorous.
Some would.